So we're following on from the 10 questions, 1 to 5. It's been a bit of a delay. I lost a tooth and basically had to wait for the recording, otherwise a bit weird anyway. Right, fine art photography. This is about the series that we're doing, yeah. So these were the 10 questions that I picked out from a workshop that I did, and it kind of gives you an idea of kind of the people who are coming on the workshops, exactly what they're kind of looking to learn, as well as what they're trying to find out from me as far as my kind of creative kind of inspiration and so on with it. So question 6, is there a particular image that holds personal significance for you, and explain the story behind it? Yes, there is. Without a doubt, The Dark Summer, Bob Carlos Clark. There's a series of images in there which are absolutely outstanding, and I absolutely love the multiple print of the back of a nude on a gravestone. Absolutely phenomenal. For me, it's this kind of realism, surrealism, erotica, fine art. It's a huge combination, you know. In the world of music, I absolutely love so much variety of music, even though I've got favourite musicians and things ready. In the world of art, I'm exactly the same, and I kind of draw on inspiration from all things. But that one image for me was definitely one that sticks in my head as that kind of creative must do. And I've shot it myself several times during the course, well, probably about a dozen times during the course of my career. And more recently on the Academy, we created some film on it. But as far as the kind of the basics, that image alone. However, I could look at Hockney and kind of Warhol, or Sam Haskins I've mentioned before. You know, that there are so many different photographers that I absolutely love. David Hamilton, I saw the film Bilitis around about the age of 18, 19 with it. And this romanticism kind of brought it to. Now, it's not everybody's taste, I get it. Nothing is everybody's taste. If everything was everybody's taste, there'd be a boring world. And again, it's really down to yourself. I have to find my creative kind of juices, as it were, from somewhere. And when you ask a question like that, if there's one image, I have to revert it back to the nude on the tombstone. I've got to bring us back to that, because that is still that most significant image that I kind of keep referring to in my head all the time. It's about how I would use the darkroom, or in today's kind of language, how we would use Photoshop and so on with it. So that's my number one. Do you have a preferred style or technique in your photography? How does it contribute to your artistic vision? I would say yes and no. Yes, I'm mainly black and white. So I would say if you kind of split me down the middle, I would definitely run monochrome. I would always opt, probably 99% of the time, for a monochrome image rather than the color image. However, there are some styles like pop art, like the Warhols and everything else, that and even the David Hamiltons I mentioned before, that really actually do work with some color, whether it's a pastel color or this huge color solidness and things, really. So for me, black and white is definitely it. Black and white kind of strips away the day. In other words, the fashion, the kind of the lighting style and so on with it, and it kind of rips it apart, and it just kind of brings me into a little bit more of stripping it back to the basics. And I think you either love monochrome photography or you love color photography. And for me, as I said, you split me down the middle, and I'm basically monochrome. What role does post-processing play in your fine art photography, and how does it enhance the final result? Can I just reiterate that when people say you as a fine art photographer, or you as fine art photography, I don't consider myself a fine art photographer. I like to take images with an artistic bias. and I will take influences from art and put it into my photography. I've got to kind of clear that up time and time again. Whether I said it on the first 5 questions or not, or I've got to remind you on that. Post-processing for me, it could be nothing, in fact. So as far as if you gave me a black and white roll of film camera, basically in a dark room, post-processing would be in the dish, and I would be dodging and burning and so on with it. Most of the time, that is really what I'm looking to do in post-processing in Photoshop. However, in the same ways of kind of adding that little bit more artistic element to it, in the days where I used to montage negatives together for textures or for kind of vignetting or kind of double exposing an image through kind of registration printing, that pretty much kind of follows through in Photoshop today. So what role does post-processing play? It would be the same role as the darkroom would have. It's just a lot easier to repeat and correct rather than having to wait for 2.5 minutes for the image to come out and basically to realize that I've got to reprint it again or dodge more and so on with it. And within my kind of Photoshop files, you'll probably find within one image, there's probably at least 4, 5, 6 versions of the same thing as I go back and I rework it or whatever it would be. Is it ever finished? No, it's not. But it's really down to you on kind of how or when you decide. And that I'm sure that's the same for a painter. You know, I remember I was going to go to art school to do the foundation course there before going on and doing 3-dimensional design and so on. But that world of photography dominated my life so much that the art world that I became exposed to through trying to get into art school allowed me to look at the whole world of photography in a different way as a young man then. So it definitely, the post-processing has a definition of a changing slightly the image or enhancing the image. You know, I have this kind of saying, which is attraction or distraction. If there's something within an image that is a distraction, I try and make it less so. In other words, vignetting down, darkening down, whatever it would be, cropping out even at times. And as far as the attraction, that would be the dodging and burning, really, making sure that I look at the most important part within the scene. And then if there are secondary or third elements that I want to kind of the viewer or even myself to actually look at, that they're either just out of sight or they're just visible, or you look at them through the second or third or fourth glance and then you actually see that they're there. But that would be the main thing for me. Can you discuss the importance of composition, lighting and color in your work and how they contribute to the aesthetics of your photographs? Definitely composition. Composition is such a powerful tool that no matter what, you cannot run away from. Yes, we can go into an image and dramatically crop it or kind of increase the huge amount of space around the image. I know with the likes of generative fill and generative expand and content aware and so on with it, we can add in to the image anyway. However, I do believe where possible that all that should be done in camera to make sure that we're allowing more time in the post-processing to be enhancing that image rather than correcting that image. So composition is definitely something that I kind of talk about. You'll know that if you've ever taken part in any of the photography critiques or photo developments that I do on Academy, I talk about composition, lighting, exposure, pose, style, storytelling, and post-production. Okay, all of those 7 elements. And that's 7 of the 12 elements that I kind of picked out from the PPA judging where they have 12 elements and things really. So composition without a doubt. Lighting is the drama. That's the spice for me within the image. So whereas you can have a great looking cake and you take a bite of it and you go, it's okay. Yeah. What we really want to do is go, oh, what's in that cake? And that's what I also want to do within the world of, my photography, is to make that sure that the lighting adds something dramatic or a point of making you look at it with kind of food eyes, as it were, and kind of go, what's in that? How is that doing what it's doing, or whatever it is, and things. So yeah, lighting is a passion. You know that for me. I absolutely love it. You know, a couple of minutes more to get it right can save you, you know, tens of minutes in the likes of the post-production. And is it ever really going to be that excellent then, when you know that you've kind of rectified it in the likes of the post-production things, really? But for me, lighting is yeah, it's one of the main ingredients for that little bit of spice. Color, well, as I've already said, I'm really a black and white photographer that shoots some color. And you might look at a series of my color images and you go, well, you're a color photographer, Mark, you're showing us images here. Yeah, but it's more to do with the project or the series of images that I'm doing with that if I was photographing like a nude in the box, it could be black and white or color. If I'm using the nude in the highlight, then it would basically, without a doubt, I would like some kind of cool color tone to kind of add that extra element. A bit like when you finish a black and white print, you put it in the likes of a selenium bath to bring a little bit of a blue tone, or a sepia tone in, or, you know, whatever is your kind of bias. So color does play a part in my kind of more artistic photography. But often you can start it going down one route, and then all of a sudden you think, what happens if? And I would always prefer to go, what happens if? And the benefit of being a digital photographer for since the end of the 90s, as it were, just into the millennium, you know, I haven't shot film since 2002, was it? And so as a digital photographer, it's easier for me today because I don't have to think about, am I going to shoot black and white film or color film? And yes, you could have printed from color negative onto black and white paper, specialist one, but it never really kind of looked the same and things, really, as far as the gradations and so on. But in the world of digital photography today, it can start out in color and basically end up as black and white. And in the same breath, you'll usually find, if you've ever been in a workshop with me, that the back of my camera is usually set. So I shoot a JPEG and a RAW file, and the JPEG file is set to black and white. And the reason being in that, even though the RAW file exists all the color, it allows me to see the color and contrast and tone clearer as I see it in my head and things. And I do look at the image and see it in black and white, even through my own eyes, before I take the photograph and things. And so when you kind of put all those things together, I think they all kind of add up to kind of give you a result, whether it's a result that is going to be there forever or it's something that you're going to change in the likes of post. How do you see photography evolving in the future? Are there any new projects or concepts you're excited to explore? Well, this question was asked probably about 2 years before COVID. And AI really didn't play its part. But we were overlaying and kind of using blend modes and everything else with it. So if I kind of go back to this now, I would say that in the world of my fine art photography, blended of images would become more and more apparent as I kind of find myself looking for more creative edge, for my self-stimulation. Whereas today, when we talk about generative creation, as it were, in the likes of Photoshop or other kind of other programs, we really have the ability to kind of create quite imaginary images without going out and doing the hard work. What I would suggest for myself, yes, is to use the generative creation as idea building, but then go and try and shoot those kind of backgrounds or create those backgrounds or elements to actually bring into my photography and things, really. There was a wonderful book, and I've just forgotten the photographer's name, but she created a self-publishing book called Wonderland, and it was absolutely amazing. One of my friends, he had it for his Christmas present from his wife, and it was one of the first edition kind of things. And I went, I've got to have a copy of that book. It's a huge book, and quite expensive, but for what it was, cheap as chips. But the way that that photographer really approached her fine art photography, kind of go in there the year before and into a landscape and painting yogurt on trees or branches or whatever it is to start the fungus and the mold begin to creation. I mean, it's quite incredible. I don't think I'll ever have that ambition and stamina to actually be able to do that. But I absolutely applaud, you know, the likes of those photographers who really are looking so far ahead in their projects that they're creating it. You know, photography for me has always been an instant art. And even though I enjoy to draw and I enjoy to paint, I won't say I was a very good artist. However, the learning to draw and the learning to paint shows my vulnerabilities, but it also makes me look at the art world for different inspirations that I can bring into my photography. So for me, how do I see the photography evolving? Definitely more projects for myself, without a doubt. As you get older, you create more time. Some people settle down into a world of, well, we don't pick up the camera very much now. Others kind of have the ambition to pick it up all the time. And I hope that I'll have the ambition to pick it up more and create more projects for myself as time goes on. And with that, I definitely feel that the likes of the creation of my own will definitely still exist. But I always love technology, the future, and I've never been afraid to be an early adopter. I hope you've enjoyed those 10 questions, really. It's difficult for us to show the fine art photography on here if it's on YouTube because obviously kind of restrictions on what you can kind of show. But if you're a member of the Academy, of course, you'll see all kind of images that I shoot and everything else within things without kind of restrictions. But thanks for kind of watching this the series. We're going to continue on with a few more about my fine art photography and your fine art photography, of course.